Hello and welcome to another episode of Empathic Chronicles. I'm your host, Tiffany Elise, and I'm excited to be back on air. I was off for a hot minute. I'm very excited about this episode because I feel like I've been wanting to talk about this for quite some time. And this episode is with every intention of helping, other women who are in like roles and just like careers in general. So let me just give it away. This episode is all about career working moms. And, for me, I had a little bit of a different story. How did I get to be the career working mama that I am today, aka boss babe, because, we got to hype ourselves up sometimes. But I went to college as an adult. So I like to say that I did my life backwards because, I grew up, I moved out of my mom's house, I met my husband, we got married shortly thereafter, I was preggo, and school kind of fell off the radar for me. Taking care of my kids was more important to me than anything else. And on top of that, I wanted to give them the life that I never had. But that also isn't just like, okay, me stay at home mom, not planning on doing anything else with my life. I knew that wasn't going to be my end all be all. However, I knew that I wanted to be with my babies at least for the first few years. And I'm very grateful that my husband, and our family made it possible so that I could be home with the kids for the first 5 years of their life. And it was very, very helpful. And I think it really set the framework for our family and just all of the memories that we made in between. So going to college as an adult. So here we are. I have my kids. They start school. I start working. So I get back into the workforce. A few years later, I'm like, I really, really want to go back to school. I want to get a degree. Kind of first generation college grad. I was like, no. This means so much to me. So I went back to school. And I was probably the oldest student in the class. And I had a feeling it was going to be that way. But man, is that like not the most comfortable feeling in the world, to be in a classroom with, a bunch of college age children. And here you are coming in. So that was tough. But I got over that quickly because that's just like, aesthetics, if you will. But going to school and managing school and then starting to work, that was, they say women can do it all. They are not lying, okay? I don't know where the strength came in because at that time, thinking back to it when my kids were that little, I don't think that I was like on Red Bulls or any type of energy drinks. And I just wonder how in the world did I do that? How did I get up every day, get the kids off to school, go to work, get off of work, figure out where the kids need to go, either home with my husband or me going home and watching them because, my husband is maybe, doing something or whatever. It was a struggle. It was a hustle. It had its own hustle for sure. But I did it, and as the kids grew up, it did become easier, in terms of finding how to navigate working a job. So for example, I would only work on the weekends because my husband worked during the week. So it was an even balance. And so we've always been a really good team, which I'm grateful for. God forbid if anything were to happen to our marriage, I know that we would be just fine because we are best friends. And so we worked really well together to have that, liberating ability to just be with the kids, raise them while still making money. So I worked on the weekends at the happiest place on earth, which if you know what I'm talking about, but I started building my career and I was like, well, what do I want to do? I knew I wanted to go into healthcare, but I remember that I wanted so bad to do the nursing program and I couldn't because the schedule for the program required 8 hours a day of being in school and practicals and all of that. And I couldn't do that. But I was like, what's the next best thing? How else could I work in healthcare? Really good benefits, a reliable, career. without being maybe clinical. Well, I went to school and I've always been a pretty like investigative geek. Like, I don't know, I may be super like extroverted and social butterfly and I love everybody, but like deep inside I'm like looking up like what is like the latest gadget because I'm just like so techie. And so I was like, okay, well, let me complement my love for technology with healthcare. And so I went into healthcare IT. And that program was like kind of just starting out in the sense that like you didn't really hear much about it. It wasn't something that like, oh, everybody's getting into healthcare IT. Well, it was just around the time when like your medical records started going from like paper into electronic form, that I got into this career. And I was like, all right, well, I definitely want to be in healthcare IT. So I got my bachelor's in healthcare IT, basically like health information management. And I was like, all right, do I want to keep down this healthcare path? And like I had a job and like I was working Monday through Friday, and I finally felt like I had that stability that I always desired, or at least what I had hoped I grew up in, and I had to learn that all on my own. And my husband did too, because growing up in I call a religious cult, I think that it retains you from being able to truly see the world for the true Gentile world that it is. And so this was a great opportunity. And the fact that like I had my shit together and I was working and, but I was like, man, with the way that society has changed, what used to be an associate's that would be like the bare minimum for a job became at that time like a bachelor's. And so I was like, all right, well then that means I have to get my master's. So I literally went back into school and working full time, and I did like kind of an accelerated program online, and it was focused within leadership. It was also focused within IT for healthcare, but it had aspects of project management. So I get my master's degree, I graduate. Now I feel super achieved. I graduated in 2019. I started going back to college in like 2015. I didn't truly dedicate myself until 2017, and then I was done by 2019. But I was like totally focused and I really wanted to do this. I wanted to have the ability to, at any point in time, have a stable career and provide a good life for my family. So in all of that, I also inspired my husband. Or I'm not going to say like, I don't want to take all the credit, but like he went back to school and, he's also a first generation college grad and he got his bachelor's in IT, and like, I'm so proud of him. I love him. He's the freaking best ever. But I don't think that he would have done that if I hadn't gone to school, because it was never really a topic of conversation. I think he always wanted it. Having come to, the US, escaping the Cuban regime, like, anybody is going to want the best life ever, right? And so, but I was just so proud of him. And so we were both college grads, 2019. We buy our first home. We're like, oh my gosh, like even though we're almost like in our 30s, if not already, we were in our 30s already. We want to be able to say that we bought a home for our children. So that took a while, but we did not let up, and we just kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing and saving. And sometimes I would get so upset because I'm like, I really do need to make a Target run, but I'm not going to because I really want a house. But, just things like that, if you set your mind to it and you have a partner who's willing to ride or die with you, anything is possible. And I really think that pays tribute to my husband and the fact that he supported me going back to school, getting my degree. He supported me watching the kids every time I had to go take an exam, or, because some of those things you could only do on campus, or like I had a big paper and I really, really needed to go to Starbucks and just sit there and like dig my head deep in the textbooks. He was always so supportive, and I don't think that I could have done it without him. I really don't. So I have my degree and I'm like, all right, where do I want to work, right? Because like I was working for the local hospital here where we live. But I was like, this is not really what I want to do. Like I've always been in love with project management. I've been in project management since 2017, and I've been in love with it since the beginning. I just love the idea of taking an idea or an initiative or, a project, and steering it, pivoting it, developing a strategy, gathering all the resources, and going forth and conquering. Like, that's my life. And I do that on a professional level, but I also do that on a personal level. I manage projects within our family all the time. This podcast is a project for me. I'm writing my book, and it's taken me several years, and I'm not done yet, but it's a process. And that is also a project. So I just feel like my life has always been very much project heavy, and I just like the idea of setting a goal and achieving it. Now, I wish that I had the same ambition to, when it comes to my weight, because, I'm a thick girl with 3 C's, but that's not the point. The point is that like, I just have really good drive when it comes to like career and school and achieving goals and what have you. So I'm very grateful for that. But none of that came without a cost, please believe, because you can imagine that like now having a master's degree, I was like, oh, well, I want a higher paying job and I want to get like the next best thing. So I was applying for jobs left and right, and at big companies too, like not like, some mom and pop. I knew what I wanted, I knew what I deserved, and I wanted to go for it. And being a writer really helped me, because I feel like I was able to put together like a really nice resume package and like be ready to like show my portfolio and what I have to offer. So I was like ready from some of the largest companies that I was just so excited to work for. I received multiple declines and rejections, and we'll think about it, or you're no longer in consideration. Like, anybody who's looking for a job and gets those, it can feel so defeating, and I have empathy for anyone who has gone through that, knows what, and can relate. Okay, it is not the best feeling, especially when, think about it, you've worked so hard, you went to school, it should be this easy to get a job. Like, you should be able to apply and get the job, but it's such a competitive market out there. And think about it, we're in 2024, technology, hello, if that's my field and what I'm going into, it's going to be super competitive. Well, I just kept on and kept on and kept on. I didn't let up. And there were some times where like in 1 week, I applied to like 16, 17 jobs, but like I was fine tooth combing through the largest companies where it is that I wanted to work. So I always knew that I wanted to come back to the happiest place on earth, but I wanted to come back in a leadership role. I've always admired women in leadership, and the fact that, society and economic standards have changed so much that now it is very normalized to see more women in leadership. I wanted to come back to the company with in a leadership role. So I was like, I got my experience. I worked at the local hospital doing project management. That started in 2017, like I mentioned. Then I literally started out as like someone's project assistant. Like, I wasn't even like a project manager. I was literally like scheduling meetings, setting up conference rooms, taking notes from meetings. I was helping the project manager be successful, right? But I was like, no, I want to be the project manager. Like, I want to do this. I think that I could do a good job. And so I worked my way up to a promotion, and I was a project manager managing multiple projects on a daily basis, and I was just so happy. But I knew that I wasn't fulfilled, because I knew that I wanted to come back to a specific company. But that specific company, I kept applying and I kept getting denied. And I was like, you know what, maybe it's just not meant to be. I had my time at that company, and maybe it's over, and that's fine. Well, lo and behold, just when you're not expecting it is when it happens, that I was offered the opportunity of, in my eyes, a lifetime, and the final give all opportunity to come back to where I was always the happiest, do things that I couldn't do before now, thanks to my education and some certifications and credentials that I got behind my name. I was just in such a better position. And so that actually happened to me 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago. And I'm still very much happy, but it took several years for that to happen. Now, meanwhile, I was working within healthcare, and I had gained, a lot of experience, but also I probably went through some of the biggest conflicts of my career that I could ever have experienced. But it was nonetheless helpful to me. What is it that they say? Like, you have to like grow a thick skin, or like a skin like leather. I feel like that's exactly what I did. And I just became a stronger woman for it. All of my obstacles, all of my challenges, everything that I didn't think that I would be good enough for, I overcame it. And in that moment, when I got the job offer, it just felt so gratifying, and I was just so excited. But how have I been able to keep myself relevant? Or at least I think I'm relevant. You go through your career, you get your education, you have all of these accolades behind you, and now what? So, you're going through it and you're enjoying the experience and embracing it and nurturing it and just being all in it. But, you got to keep yourself relevant. You have to be competitive, because the next person that knows how to do something even one step better than you can just sweep it from right under you. So thankfully at that time, LinkedIn started to become like really popular, and then, everybody was like LinkedIn. So I myself got involved in the whole LinkedIn biz, to which I still manage today, my LinkedIn profile. I didn't realize the power that was in LinkedIn, and this is not a paid partnership. I do not work for LinkedIn, nor am I getting paid for this, but I literally found some of the best opportunities of my career being connected to LinkedIn. I was also able to network, and still network to this day, with other people that are, for example, in project management, and learn best practices from them, learn, lessons learned, and being able to be like, oh, wow, that happened to me, but how did you get through it? LinkedIn has been that for me. They have a learning platform. So there's courses that you could literally just type in what course you're doing, or what profession or what industry that you're focused on, and it will give you courses or education related to it. I relied on that heavily for several years while I was in school, watching my kids, working on the weekends, being the best wife possible to my hubby. I was on LinkedIn.com all the time, trying to contribute to an article or write my own article. Or, when I had my first TED Talk, I used LinkedIn as a platform to market myself and market the brand that I'm trying to create. And the brand that I'm trying to create today, and what I'm building my business around, is not just women in leadership and women empowerment, but it's about mental health advocacy. It's about the holistic solution of what it takes for a person to endure life every single day with the tools and resources equipped to be successful. And that's what I'm all about. So I'm usually that friend where if you need someone to help you write your resume, or if you need someone to write your resume for you, I'm that friend that everybody calls, just within my group, and it's just something that I've always really enjoyed. I love to tell stories. I love to showcase other people. It's crazy because I like to actually showcase other people more than I like to showcase myself, when that can often come across as completely false, because my kids tell me that I flex too much. But you know what? I flex too much with every God-given right, because I earned it, and I consider myself self-made. And this podcast episode was made, like I said in the beginning, with every intention on hopefully reaching a young woman like I once was, who may be in a rut, in the sense that she may not know which way to go with her career, with her education, with her life. And you have to really dig deep and go through your emotions and kind of write out what your pros and cons of your life are, and actually write out what your goals and dreams are to achieve, and actually believe them, conquer, and achieve them. Like, that is what I want to reach and encourage. I want to inspire younger women who are just getting started, or women that are in their profession and just want to stay connected. They want to grow. They want to go even higher. They're aspiring executives. Whatever the case may be, you have it in you. You have everything within you to accomplish that goal. And I think it's just so important to push that, because more and more than ever today, we see women in leadership and just leadership changes in general in big organizations. And I have to say, women are making their mark. And don't get me wrong, I am totally a big fan of the fact that the majority of my project team are males. But you know what? At the end of the day, I still like the value that comes from the few women that are in the project team, me and a few others who are able to stand out, because we're still the minority, right? So any way that you can grow yourself, experience, education, certifications, credentials, taking a course, going on a Saturday, sitting in a class, checking out a book and reading it in one weekend or 1 week and knowing how to do something new. Like, I just think that we should be in an everlasting mood to learn. And I call myself a perpetual learner, because I know that I do not know everything. I don't expect to know everything, but I want to inspire and encourage others to know and be and say and feel everything. And I think sometimes I push a little too hard, because I do it with my kids. And my older son, he's so bold and assertive that sometimes that could come off as confrontational, but he's not. He's just very confident, and he knows what he wants, and he knows what he believes in. And I just wish that more people felt that confidence. And so I'm that type of person that at work, or I remember in school, I would be like, all right, hyping the person up that was going to give their presentation. We have so much to offer. And I think oftentimes people sell themselves short, or think, oh, I can't do that because this person's already doing it. Or, oh, I don't want to say that because I don't want to overstep on someone's toes. Or, I'm not good enough yet because I don't deserve it. No. That whole mindset needs to change, cancel, delete, whatever it is that you got to do. You need to get into the mindset that you are capable, you are worthy, and you can achieve your goals. And there's things like LinkedIn out there. There's, Udemy.com. I did some course. Yeah, I did a course through there. Harvard, when you can go to their their dissertations pages and just read. I mean, there's just so many learning outlets out there. And also a lot of big companies nowadays are literally paying for you to go to school. So it may be a little bit of a sacrifice now, but if you can land an opportunity like that, that's amazing. I mean, you would have such a, you're just opening your horizons basically. But I don't want to, just sit on my soapbox all day. I wanted to share this episode with you because I felt that someone and more people, because everyone is speaking up and being louder than ever before in today's society. But I wanted to definitely empower anyone who is in that rut of their career and just needs that oomph, just so that they can push forward and see that there are all the opportunities in the world out there, and it just takes you and that one idea to achieve and make something big and greater than ever before. So I hope that I have left you inspired. I appreciate you listening to this episode. I am excited to be back. You can hear it in my voice. I probably spoke a lot faster than I ever have today. But I'm just so excited to be back with my listeners, to be back with the people that I connect with on a daily basis via social media. Please go to Instagram and check out my Tiffany Elise Inc. page. That's my mental health advocacy page. And then, of course, this podcast, Empathic Chronicles, has its own Instagram page. So just Empathic Chronicles. And then be sure to share this podcast with your friends and family and have them start at episode 1, hear that TED Talk that never got published, and bring them through to where we are today. I'm so excited to get even deeper with you. Not every episode will be this up, positive, happy, and cheery, but it's empathy, and we learn as we go and we learn as we grow. So thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Tiffany Elise, and it has been an absolute pleasure being with you for this episode. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Yeah.